Greetings from in Uni UK. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. My name is Degina Weatherill and I'm the Director of Recruitment within in Uni UK and Europe Division, a company of global university systems overseeing international students recruitment for a number of our partner universities. Today, I'm extremely excited to talk about our premium partner university, beautiful Canterbury Christ Church University. And you can see Canterbury Cathedral and blue skies in my background, and that's where students' graduations take place. Today, I am extremely excited to talk about career support provided by CCCU to the students and graduates as well, because employability, as we all know, is really important, and I would imagine is one of the deciding factors when selecting a university you would like to study at. Why do we all want to have a good degree? We want to have a good job afterwards. So I'm excited to be joined by our speaker today, Chiara Hewer, who is Careers and Enterprise Partner and Student Enterprise Manager at Canterbury Christ Church University. Thank you so much for joining us, Chiara. And we also have my colleague from in Uni Marketing team, Sukanya, in the background, helping us to run this webinar smoothly. Just a few housekeeping rules before we start. You're all on mute. If you'd like to ask any questions whatsoever, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A section. So that's Q&A section rather than chat section, and we will take them from there at the very end of the webinar. So I really hope you can stay with us till the end of the webinar. The session is also being recorded, and the recording and the presentation as well will be shared with you afterwards in case if you miss anything. Other than that, sit back and enjoy. I really hope you find this webinar useful and inspiring. I am once again very excited to be at this webinar. And just a quick reminder before Chiara starts presenting, GUS Gateway portal is still open for students' applications. So please ensure you submit your students' applications at the soonest. If you have already submitted them and you received initial conditional offer letter issued by in Uni admissions team on behalf of CCCU, please book your students' consultations with my team on the ground or our in Uni interview team. Please arrange missing documents at the soonest, just so that we can proceed your students' applications to the next stage of unconditional offer letter. If you have received your unconditional offer letter already, please do book your students' precast interviews. And as soon as the university has opened up some additional precast interview slots, so in case if you are having issues booking those interviews via the students' portal, please reach out to your relevant in Uni representative and they will be happy to support your students with booking those interviews. Please ensure students are prepared and do attend those interviews on time as per the UK time specified within the interview invite. And if you have already passed your interview, if your students did pass the interview, please ensure you've proceeded with securing your place, arrange deposit if not done so yet, submit your CAS request at the soonest. CASs are being issued at present promptly, but as we progress and we're getting closer to the deadlines and to the start date of the program, obviously the admissions and compliance team are becoming busier, so the delays may happen very soon. So the sooner your students apply for CAS, the better. We're seeing a very good turnaround time with visas for the UK, which is amazing. So visas are currently being issued within 2, 3, 5 days, even without priority service. But please ensure you do apply for your visa as soon as your CAS is issued. Please do not delay to avoid any, mad rush in summer. As it happens, home office may get a little bit busier later on, and we don't want your students to have any delays with visas. The sooner the visas are issued, the sooner they can arrange their accommodation, book their flights in advance. and arrive on time or even earlier and explore the UK a little bit before they start their studies. There's so much to do in Canterbury, Garden of England in Kent. I'll stop talking now and I'll let Chiara to present. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dagina, and thank you for inviting me again to talk about our wonderful service. I think I just wanted to kind of introduce myself a little bit. I'm Italian, so I came to study in the UK in 1996, and I've been here since, and it's more than half of my life now. And I came to study in Canterbury at a different university, but I've been in Canterbury since. It's a wonderful place. Is safe, and it's not too far from London, but equally far enough to be slightly cheaper, and definitely a better quality of life. So I've been at Canterbury Christ Church University now for 24 years. So it's a very long time. I've been my career, as we're talking about career, has been varied. So I've been in different roles, one of which was also in the international office, sort of traveling and recruiting students in other countries, although my patch was Europe, obviously being Italian, and the US. So in a way, I just want to start this just to say that I completely understand you guys, what you're looking at, what you're investing your money into, the kind of consideration that you're making, because I had to make it myself back in 1996. Things have also changed, but I also wanted to kind of say that employability and careers were a thing when I graduated. So you're also coming into a more exciting situation in a way, from at university, and the different type of support and courses that are more and more tailored to help you in that journey to kind of secure a careers afterwards. So with that premise, obviously this session is really about showcasing what we offer as a team, but also to give you some tips on sort of preparing for work, especially when you come in here, like you, I'm sure, I had to secure a part-time job to cover my expenses. So hopefully some of the things that I'm covering today will help you know what to expect, but also give you some tips in preparation. So I wanted to start in kind of through my slides and the way that we do sessions in proper sort of learning and teaching style with the aims of this session. So I'm going to talk to you about how we embed employability and student enterprise in all our courses. I'll give you some tips and on sort of how to understand the UK job market. And then I'll showcase all the things that we offer to support you in your journey. So why should you choose Canterbury Christ Church University? We were number one. These kind of stats are yearly stats, and we were sort of number ones a year ago in sort of our previous. So that the university, all universities track through the government what our students end up doing after 15 months from graduation, and those are called graduate outcomes. So they always kind of retrospective. So you kind of go back by, as I said, sort of the 15 months. But we were number one for graduate employment, which was amazing. So we beat the likes of Oxford and Cambridge, and that's because our students come from, you know, a smaller university that is by trade a little bit more vocational than kind of those research-based institutions like you know, Oxford and Cambridge. And so our students are equipped with the skills that are needed to actually get straight into their job and be successful into it. It's a good premise, you know, to kind of know that you come into a university that is incredibly passionate about embedding employability within the curriculum. And that's what you want. You know, you want to ensure that the money that's kind of invested in your education will prepare you to secure that job. So how do we do that? We do it through a framework that we've designed that's called the Future 360. So all our courses embed, even the ones that are more vocational, so like nursing and teaching, although they might not necessarily do some of the things that other courses are doing, they all have Future 360 at their heart. And Future 360 is a framework that basically embeds within all the different modules this kind of scaffolded approach. Some of these words that I'm using might be a little bit technical, but scaffolded, it means that in education, it means that what we're doing and what we're asking you to do and what we, the things that we're offering you are at the right level for each one of the years that you're doing, that you're progressing into. So that's what scaffolded means, that you're not kind of straight, you know, thrown in at the deep end and finding it really hard. We start slow and kind of take you up in this journey and kind of develop you accordingly. So the Future 360 is based on working on yourself, on your potential and on your future. This framework doesn't have to be read in this order, is any order, because at this university we get a variety of students in age, gender, you know, background. So, you know, we have mature students, we have single parents, we have parents. Sometimes in some of my courses that I kind of feed into and help and support, I've experienced a father and a daughter studying together. And as I said, there's a variety sort of ages as well. And they can start from different, you know, starting point. So you might find the young students who don't really know about what they can offer because they haven't had a lot of experience. And equally, you have people who are mature students who have already had experience. And so it's more about not necessarily understanding themselves because they understand themselves, but it's about understanding the potential and it's about understanding the future. So it's about maybe understanding how what they now decided to study to improve their chances to get a better job or, you know, grow in their career. Or change their career. And so it's about understanding how to articulate. That's the word that you've got to remember, how to articulate, how to explain properly and understand, you know, what you can bring to the job. So you can start from different, you know, from different starting points in this journey, Future 360. But as you can see from the slides, you know, that there is kind of opportunities and work within the curriculum that will help you reflect on what you are developing through your course, and maybe a little bit about enterprising rather than entrepreneurial. So it's about grabbing those opportunities and being enterprising in that sense. So understanding that, I don't know if there's a volunteering opportunity available, and you're studying computing, for example, to go and design a website for a charity, that is an investment. You don't get paid, but it adds a lot to your portfolio when you are leaving university. So it would say a lot about your experience because you've been doing it for someone else. Whether or not that was paid, it doesn't matter. And also about kind of how do you promote yourself. I'll get to it in a few slides. And also understanding, the career opportunities outside of your degree, or with your degree. And what we try to do every time with students is just to challenge them to think outside the box. Careers in the UK, this is one thing that you've got to remember, and which might be different in your own country. Careers in the UK are no more linear. They're no more, when I graduated, they were. In a way, I'm an example of somebody who, well, I haven't had the same career, but, I've been at the university for 24 years, and that's, I only know this organization, but then I've had different careers within it. So it still makes me quite appealing to other companies because I've got a variety of skills. But generally, you don't start one job and you're there for the rest of your life. You've got to be prepared to reinvent yourself and understand all the things that you've learned and where they can bring you and what you can bring to different companies. So this is everything that we do through our courses and through our offer as a service. Just briefly, hopefully if you come to Christ Church and we welcome you in September, these are the smiley faces that you'll see in our team. Most of us are, we are changing, so my title is changing as well, but we're all about employability, and equally for me, I'm really passionate about student enterprise, so about supporting students who want to set up a business. As myself and Marcelo sort of are leading on, he's supporting me and I'm leading on that. But yeah, so these are the people that you will come and see within your courses. We have, like lots of other universities, a portal that you will have access to that has lots of online resources that will support you along the way. What we do and how we support international postgraduate students, everyone can access this online and in-person services. In fact, our offer for careers is for life. So we support you even after you graduate, and we support you for life. A time where lots of people are being, they're facing a bit of redundancy and a bit of change across sort of every sector. We've had lots of people who've been out in job but coming back, and we've been helping, and they've secured new roles as a result of that. So we're quite innovative in that. Not many universities offer that. The majority offer 3 years, and we're one of the few who now offer for life. We also have a recruitment and internal recruitment agency that recruits for all the roles within the university, that are part-time jobs, but we also work quite closely with companies within Canterbury. So we also advertise local jobs that are part-time jobs, and we also have sort of graduate roles. Obviously, I don't want to start, and I'm not qualified to give you any sort of visa support when you graduate, but you would all know through in uni, I'm sure, that you'll be able to apply for certain routes post-graduation, and they will obviously grant you, apologies, I haven't moved and the light is gone. Can you still see me? Sorry, I hope it's still okay. If not, just give me 1
Yes,
second. I'll just move around. Bear with me.
sure, sure, no worries, but we can still see you.
Yeah, there we go. I've been moving a lot. I need to gesticulate. And so Unitemps will be there, and then we also offer one-to-one. So we see lots of international students that come and talk to us on a one-to-one basis, and we run lots of different things, which I'm going to talk about in a second because I've got slides about it. So finding opportunities. So we have a portal that's called Handshake, and we have jobs available. Handshake is used by lots of other universities as well. It's linked to other companies within the UK. Some are specifically saying who employs international students on a visa. So that would be quite handy as well. And then obviously we've got as I said, our online, our internal recruitment agency that's called Unitemps. I'm just going to skip through this because they say the same thing, and you will have the slides anyway. So Unitemps, once you come and join us in September, you'll be able to register with Unitemps. Unitemps, interestingly, is a franchise that another university in the UK started. So there are lots and lots of branches across the UK, and the unique selling point is that whilst you're with us at university, you can apply for the jobs that we advertise through our branch. But we do have students who might be living outside of Kent. And when they go away, there are other universities, maybe more local to them, that have a Unitemps, and so they can still apply for jobs through those branches. So in the summer, when they go back home, they can see if there are any opportunities. So that's the good thing about Unitemps. You can register with them, but then you can work through and find jobs through other branches as well. Priority sometimes, especially if internal roles, obviously will only be given to university students, but other sort of local jobs might be a good one. Sorry, I go because I know a lot of you, or I know through experience, many university students are interested in volunteering. So the volunteering service is managed by the careers service. So, we work together with our student union on this, but we have a database full of opportunities that you guys will be able to, once you're a registered student, you will be able to apply for. Just one thing I would like to point out, because we had an issue and we had questions from people. Volunteering opportunities do not guarantee you a visa. They cannot be used to guarantee you a visa. So please, if you find a way of applying for our volunteering opportunities through the system, which you shouldn't be able to, but I've seen that sometimes people are able to, they cannot be used to secure a visa. So please don't apply for them. They are available for you once you become a student. And organisations that are advertising with us will not offer you that until you become one of our students. So because they are ring fenced to our students. Bear with, I'll get there. It's just a little slower. So now kind of moving to the area that I kind of wanted to cover to give you some advice on at least preparing yourself. I think is really, really important. CVs and cover letters are different in different countries. And so I wanted to kind of give you some tips on what to expect when you come to the UK, because they are different. They were different for me when I came from Italy, and I deal with a lot of international students, and I used to prepare and work with students who were going on placement in France, and they had to secure a job in France. So every country have their own little do's and don'ts. And so the UK, it is different from other countries. So that's where I wanted to focus on for the next kind of section. So in some countries, Italy being one of them, and I guess a lot of the European countries, if any of you have experience of that, CVs are really important. And I will say that sometimes companies make decisions on your CV and, you know, who you work for, how important the company was. In the UK, I want you to understand that the cover letter is the most important item. And do not, you know, when you're applying for jobs, do not submit a CV without a cover letter. The cover letter is called a cover letter for a reason, because it's an introduction to your CV and is the main thing. So if you're applying for in the future for a proper role, is the thing that people would want to look at to understand if you are good enough to be interviewed. So it really needs to explain how you match the requirements of the job. And sometimes the CV doesn't do that. The CV, it really needs to be quite short, quite snappy. I work very closely with creative students, and in the creative industries, a CV is one page. It doesn't matter how much experience you have, is one page, and generally is about who you worked for and the big names rather than the content of it. The content of as to why you are good for that job goes in the cover letter. Other roles might be okay. Another sector might accept 2 pages, but certainly no longer than 2 pages. So the cover letter is the thing that has the meaningful content. So I like to explain this to our students using just these words. So the CV is the what you can do, and it's all about you. So it's all about what you can do. The cover letter is the how you can do the job and what experience, how you articulate your experience, and it's all about the employer, not about you. It's about articulating that the skills that you bring into the job to help them solve a problem. And the problem is that because they need somebody to do something. So it's all the experience and all the skills that you're bringing to the job, but to help them. So even when you're writing it, it's always, this is what I could bring to you. I'm an asset to you, and not about the benefits that you guys are going to get out of that job. In the background, of course, there is a benefit because you're getting money out of it and you're getting paid and you're getting a job, but they don't need to be told that. It's not about, you can help me, you're a brilliant company and you're going to help me out. It's about, I'm going to be an asset to you. This is all the experience. This is all the things that I've achieved. And that's the opportunity really to also explain the things that you have achieved. That's what they want to hear. They want to be impressed. You do that through the cover letter, not necessarily through a CV. So I've given you some things, and I'm not going to spend too much, but you know, the cover letter really is structured in 4 sections. The opening, where you tell the recruiter why you're applying for the job, where you saw the advert, why you. So you want to kind of straight away saying, I'm an asset, I've got all this experience, I've read about your company. You also want to create a really good relationship straight away with the company. So you want to tell them that you've researched them. You want to tell them that you're very interested in the job, you're very interested in the company, because you want to create that connection with them, but not to the point that I want to come to you because I know that you're going to get me a really good job or you're going to give me good experience and then I can move on to somebody else. Is about, you know, what they want to hear is, I want to come to you because I know I've achieved things that you need to be successful. And then the ending is really about kind of summarizing and still making a bit of a statement that you are good for that role. So there are things that you can do to research a cover letter, and these can be like on a large scale if you're going for your graduate job when you graduate, but also on a smaller scale when you're applying for part-time jobs. Remember, even if you're going to a restaurant, just showing them that you understand who their competitors are, how good they've done, if they won an award, or, if you find out that, for example, in Canterbury, they are the place to be for a reason, maybe because they have special nights, maybe because they do special food that people love. It will still make you, make them feel like they're really interesting to you. So these are my kind of brief point, research their company website, research their social media, remember your skills and your unique selling point. Have they been in the news? Have they won awards? Have they had lots of really good reviews in local papers? And then always remember what the job entails, because you will all be asked, what do you know about this role and what can you bring to it? I did an interview this morning and my first question is, what is your understanding of this role and what can you bring to it? So that's how everything starts. And one of the things that we do that really helps our students is to remember the STAR technique. And I was interviewing a member of staff today, and this is what we tell staff as well to use, and is situation, task, action, and result. I interview lots of people every time, and to avoid that waffling and losing track of what you're saying, this technique and this model really helps you structure and be straight to the point. So think about a specific event or a situation you were in. What task did you have to complete? And, what actions you took around the completion of this task, and what the result was. And I very often like to tell my students to add an E at the end, so it becomes STARE, which is evaluation. So, you may have had a really good result, but actually showcasing that you are always reevaluating your practice is also very useful. So evaluation, remember, is also a really good thing. Saying, I did really well, but actually I think I can do even better next time by doing this. Or if it's an example that could have been better or something that you experienced, you show how you made it better to then get to a positive result. So now moving on to the CVs, we do have CV templates. One thing that we do that's super, super popular with our students is CV 360. So large companies like Microsoft, Google, and LinkedIn, and lots of big companies use what is called ATS. And ATS is a automated kind of tracking system, that assessment system that uses AI to assess large numbers of CVs. So the reality is that when you're applying for very competitive roles, everything is fed through a computer that has algorithms fed into it regarding the job. And if there is no evidence in your CV of the skills and the words that this algorithm are looking for, you get eliminated straight away from the process. So we do have one of these. It's called CV 360. So a lot of our students are asked either through the courses, because we embed employability, or we get them to do it when they come to us. To feed their existing CV through CV 360 and see what scores they have. Generally, we tell them that not to come to us until they score 80%, because then we can really help them. And also, one of the things that I'm really passionate about, is a good CV and a good feedback from our point of view on CVs come when you have a job and you write in your CV according to the job description, not just coming to us with a CV that's written not too specific. And that's most of the time that students come to us and say, I'm not getting an interview, what am I doing wrong? Is because they haven't tailored the CV to the job description. So that's another thing that you really have to think about in the UK. Then, there are other little tips like spacing, don't use small font and don't try to pack everything in and make it really small, because you've also got to be mindful that people have disabilities sometimes, they can't read properly, and you've also got to show that you've got that in mind. And then one of the things that obviously for me was the main thing, because English is not my first language, is spelling and grammar, which is also what CV 360 is looking for. As soon as you've got spelling mistakes, that gets eliminated as well. So check and triple check every time. Employers are looking for a range of skills, and these are kind of the ones that we always say they will be there. They might be worded slightly different for different sectors, but adaptability is really important. And, the fact that you move in to study abroad is a really good example. Affecting time and workload management. You can use examples from university, but you might have examples from other jobs. The ability to work well in a team, decision making, problem solving is a great one, and good written and communication skills, oral communication skills, and research and report writing. Those are also really good skills to have. What to omit? Nationality is a big thing. So one big thing in the UK is avoid anything that can lead to discrimination. Date of birth, gender, marital status, details about children, health details, even like addresses nowadays are not important anymore. As long as you feel you can get to the job confidently and at the time where you're supposed to start work, that's the only thing that they need to know. So you could say that you are London based, you can say that you're Canterbury based, you can say that you're Kent based. A lot of my students apply for jobs that require them to travel. A lot of my film students, could go to kind of film sets that are in the middle of nowhere. As long as they have a car, I tell them not to say where they live. They could be Kent and the southeast, because they can travel as far as they want. But obviously, from probably most of you, the fact that you need a visa is something that I would definitely mention, because not necessarily for part-time jobs, but for graduate roles, you will need to secure a visa before you do that. So the application forms, so some of the things that you need to remember is that sometimes jobs have online application forms that could be a bit different. They don't necessarily ask you to apply through a CV and a cover letter. But remember that all the sections within the application form will basically ask you the same details, but you may have to just add them in separately. Again, some tips, use the STAR technique again. Check your grammar, spelling. I always tell students to write what they want to write in Word and then paste it in so they know that it's written correctly. And also sometimes there's a word limit. So doing it in Word, you can check your word count and then put it in so you know that you're not missing something. Let me see if I'm repeating myself. Okay, online application form again, leave yourself enough time. Sometimes, many times, the students do it at the last minute. So sometimes they can be very lengthy. So give yourself plenty of time. Most of the time, online forms give you the option to save. So please, start earlier and save and keep saving, go back to it and complete it. And that light is gone again. But be very wary of AI. I can spot cover letter written with artificial intelligence from a mile. For the role that I interviewed today, I could tell straight away that one of the applicants had written a few paragraphs with AI. So please avoid that, because we can tell. We can really, really tell. Let me see. Okay, so in the UK, some things that you may or may not be aware of is that we have some really good graduate schemes, and they recruit international students on them as well. They generally offered by large companies, and so for me, I kind of wanted to give you just that just explain what the difference is between a graduate job and a graduate scheme. So graduate schemes are offered by large companies, and normally they last for a year or 2 years, and you have mentors around you, and you get moved in different departments. So you get the opportunity to try different roles. A graduate job is normally within a company, and it can be a small, medium size, or a large company. And they are jobs that are at a graduate level. So they paid a certain amount of money, they have a certain amount of, they require you to do a job that is at the level that a graduate would do. So steer away from, really basic roles, because they're not graduate roles. And you'll probably be sort of underpaid as well. So this is something like, that you will see advertised, and it's good to know. In graduate schemes, it's a lot more structured. So it's good because it's all done for you. But personally, I find sometimes graduate jobs can be better because you grow within the company. So you might actually have a lot more support, and they are a little bit more understanding. They might make you start at a junior level, but then there's a lot more progression. Whilst graduate schemes, sometimes there are no guarantee that you're going to get a job at the end of their graduate schemes. But they're really good salaries, and obviously they give you the opportunity to work for a big company and try different things as well. So I've given you some links, so you can have a look, and you find it in the slides. Interviews and selection. Interview. Recruiters interview because they want to know that you can do the job. So I'll let you kind of go through that. There are different types of interviews. You've got panel that probably most of you are thinking of when you're thinking of an interview. But I also want you to know that through graduate schemes, for example, nowadays there are lots and lots of video recorded interviews where you don't see anyone, you're just answering questions on screen. We know of lots of students who are applying for jobs, even say within the post office, or sort of local shops, local supermarkets. They now have to do that before they even see a human, and that again is a way of filtering down the number of applicants. If they're not good enough, they don't progress. You have some jobs that ask you to do psychometric tests. So you've got a lot of like logic, problem solving, and that's all part of the graduate scheme. Before, in that kind of application process, you've got that. So you've got numerical reasoning tests, situation judgment test. Sometimes they're games about what you're going to be doing in the role. So you need to pass that before you even get to see human in a panel interview, and eventually, hopefully, get the role. Prepare well. It's the same principle. Interview And the other thing that we have on our system, which is very similar to CV 360, is Interview 360, which is an AI generated simulator. So our students can take a simulated interview, very, very similar to what is being used currently by lots of employers. So I know of a student who applied for, a job with the post office, and actually doing that pre-screening on Interview 360 really helped him pass that same similar interview, where you get all the questions that they timed, and you respond to a computer live being filmed. So they can see your face, but you can't see them, because it's basically a computer that's asking you the questions. These are some of the questions, and you can even Google them, and there are lots and lots for any sector that you guys might be applying for, might be interested, like computing and engineering and business. Describe a situation where you had to lead a team. What was your role, and what did you have to do? So think about a STAR technique, and that's a good way of answering it. And remember to smile. That's what we say, smile, even, be you. And please, one thing that I want to pass on is, even if you're doing an interview for, your job, just make sure your course, make sure that your personality and your excitement and comes across. It's the same thing that applies to finding a job, applies to applying to university. Research the university, research the course, and show the passion and the reason why you want to come and study at the university. Gina, give me a shout if I'm getting close to my time.
Sorry, we still have some time. Yeah.
Fabulous.
So
okay,
it's very, very useful. So I think all the tips you're sharing with attendees are very useful. So yeah, thank you.
Great. So the other thing that again is really important for our students, and we can't stress it enough, is the importance of social media. And when I say the importance of social media, is that is clean, that is professional. Even in our courses at university, we do look at candidates and their social media. So make sure that you don't have your digital footprint shows you in the best possible way, and in the best in like as professionally as possible. We love, I think I started the trend at this university. I was a very, very early adopter of LinkedIn. So I appreciate that LinkedIn is not used in the same way in sort of countries. But, LinkedIn is massive in the UK. Even just getting yourself acquainted with, what the platform is about, maybe setting up a profile is a good thing. We'll certainly do all of it when you come to us, because it's one of the requirements. But yeah, make sure you don't have pictures that you don't want to be there. If you've got private accounts, which we all have, make sure that they are private if they're being used for personal reasons, and don't be afraid to start professional ones. But social media is a really powerful tool to follow recruiters, learn a lot about companies, learn what they're winning, what they're achieving. Even sometimes in roles like in computing, is also really good to see that their website is not great. So be brave and say, your website is not great, and I know I can do a better job at improving it. Look at your social media. So now that leads me to the final part, which is what we offer at Christ Church. So we have a very nice hub, which is located in the library, and we open Monday to Friday, 10 till 4, but we also often in here, so people pop in. We do lots of workshops in our hub, and that's where I also run a lot of my programs for student enterprise. And that's where we also do our kind of one-to-one, the really short one, kind of drop in. So we have students who drop in just to ask us to check their CV, just ask us a question. Sometimes people just come in to say hello. We have got, jobs that we advertise. We have lots of like literature, and as I said, events. So yeah, I mean, I talked about the online hub. That's where you find access to all the different things that we offer. I'll give you, I think there's a slide about, that's it, that's the one. We run lots of workshops, and every year we find, or we identify through student feedback, things that we haven't offered before, but students are asking for. So we run them, and it's great. It changes all the time, but one of the most popular workshops that we run from beginner, intermediate, and advanced is LinkedIn. We do prepping for interview. We do one that is super popular and is about jargon buster. Is about the job jargon. Jargon, if you don't understand the word, is basically kind of the special words that are used in jobs, job descriptions, and how to understand who they're looking for. Sometimes from the words you can understand whether the role is maybe a bit too senior for you, although it's not used, because obviously for discrimination reasons they can't use certain words, but you can understand if maybe it's a little bit too advanced for you, or if he's right for you. Maybe it's a junior role. It's just understanding that the special words that are used in job description. So that is always super popular, and that's the understanding job advert. We get a lot about imposter syndrome, so students who think they can't do jobs but they can, so we're there to help them out. We do sessions about mock assessment centres, which are the kind of the first step for graduate schemes, where you get preparation for psychometric tests and all the other tests that I mentioned earlier. We also do a one-to-one career advice and guidance. So my colleague John is our career advisor, and those are longer, sort of 45-minute long, and they're the ones that normally our final year students book, so that they can really have more help. So they're available. And then another thing that we do, and we do have some international students on this, is a program that's called Grad Force. It's a final year course that we do, where we literally take final year student by the hand, and we prepare them through very, very targeted workshops on how to apply for jobs and how to secure graduate roles. And that's, it's a great program, but this is sort of more tailored to final year students. And then this is Launchpad, which is my student enterprise service, and we offer lots of we run at the start of the year, we run a big idea challenge, which is a competition where students submit an idea, and they can win £100. We then and some of the students who submit this idea then also join us for the How to Make Money program, which we run twice a year in semester 1 and in semester 2. And that's an 8-week program that takes you from understanding what it takes to be a business founder, to sort of finance and how to register your company. And then some of the students, then even international students, we are not allowed to give you money to fund your business because it contravenes visa regulation. But what we do is I allow international students to be part of the TTL, which is Think It, Test It, Launch It accelerator program, because I give students £100 to research their idea, maybe test it with doing, some focus groups. And so I allow international students to go on the accelerator course to do that. And this year, we actually had 2 international students that then progressed to our Launch into Business Den, which is our pitching competition. Even if you can't get the funding for the business, we invited them to pitch their idea, and they got a lot of feedback from our panel of entrepreneurs. So, and they found it incredibly helpful because it really helped them fine tune their idea. So that's kind of the progression. And then obviously along this process, we have one-to-one business coaching, which we start during the How to Make Money. If you have an idea and you really want to progress it and develop it, we allocate, a time with our business mentor. And that's a big idea challenge. You can read about it, and that's it for me. I think I got to it. So I don't know if there are any questions that have come to the Q&A. I can see a number 5. So I don't know if I can click on it. I can see it.
Yeah, don't worry. I can read them out. Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much, Chiara. Really, really useful information. Very, very inspiring as well for attendees. Let's just have a look quickly at the questions, because I can see some people started leaving because I think we're running out of time. Okay, some questions that are related to the career support.
Yep.
How can I apply for a job at CCCU? Do you offer any on-campus employment opportunities for students?
Yes. So we have lots of opportunities, and they all managed by Unitemps, which is our recruitment agency. But you won't be able to apply for it until you register with us. But as soon as you registered, and you are, you are allocated the university email, you will be able to apply for jobs. And we have jobs within the library, where I'm based, within some of the cafeteria, and then most of the jobs, although they're not necessarily there all the time, and certainly they're not there right at the start because you're only starting yourself, but we have lots of students on our open days. So our open day ambassadors are brilliant. They're brilliant roles. You are representing your course, and you're there to kind of welcome and inspire new people that come and study with us. Normally we accept first years, but only from January onwards, because you are starting yourself. So you need to know about your course or about the university before you even can talk about it. But that's certainly, they're very well paid, and they're brilliant because you develop lots of employability skills, like talking to lots of people, parents and young people, so you learn to adjust your communication skills as well.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing. And yes, we do have some success stories where students came to study at CCCU's international students, and they now work as students ambassadors. They work also in Richard's team. So Richard, who normally joins us for this webinars,
we do. Yeah, we have.
Also has,
Yeah, absolutely. That's also one that we've always had. If you are passionate about careers, for example, I employ career ambassadors. We have them as part, especially if you use we tend to have our ambassadors are people who have used our services and they're really passionate about our services. And similarly is what happens with Richard. lots of international students that have engaged quite a lot with the international office. They then become ambassadors, and it's brilliant. I even have success stories of, students who have gone out. It's not easy. It's not easy for home students to secure jobs. What I'm saying is you need to be prepared. And the more you engage with career services throughout your studies, when you're safe and you are at university, the more likely you are to go out prepared to secure a job. And so you need to be, you need to fight for what you want and what you want to achieve. So we're here for that, but there's also quite a lot of work that you guys need to put in.
Yeah, of
But we have
course.
some that's one guy who I know I worked with from Pakistan, actually, who is now, he's been working in some amazing projects in London, and he's got his own company now. So, it is possible. But that guy was also incredibly proactive, incredibly proactive.
That's brilliant. Yeah, you put it together really beautifully, and I couldn't agree more. You need to start promoting yourself and being proactive from day one. So definitely, please register with career support team, attend career fairs where you can meet potential employers, start promoting yourself. You have your CV where obviously careers team can support you with, making sure it's customized as well for every opportunity you're applying for, making sure your confidence skills obviously are there for your interviews as well. And any job, whether it's related to your studies or not, I think it's a great advantage and it enhances your CV so well. I remember when I was international student, it really helped me to improve communication skills, make some friends as well. And obviously international students in the UK are still allowed to work 20 hours per week during studies and then full-time during holidays. And you can still apply for your graduate route visa, which is 2 years post-study work once you've successfully graduated, whether it's bachelor's or master's degree. All right. What kind of graduate employment opportunities are available in Kent, specifically for CCCU graduates? I mean, Kent is vast.
Okay, Kent is, you won't find large companies. So Kent is quite a rural area, but there are lots and lots of smaller companies. And there are lots of them. So it's about going out. And I'm not, I'm going to be honest, you've got to make an impression. And especially if you're an international student and you need a visa, because a visa is obviously, there's a lot of money that is spent by the employer, but it is possible. And there are obviously some other employers which are still quite big. So we've got in engineering, so engineering is quite big because we've got the big Port of Dover. There are lots of engineering companies, lots of distribution companies. So for business students, it's great for like logistics and resources. And, there are actually quite big companies in that area. But again, there's lots of hospitality. Kent is, like you said, is the Garden of England. We are getting really big in wine production. So there are lots of wineries, lots of companies in the area. And again, that's the hospitality side of things, but there's also the international market. So again, if you're an international student with studying business, that's also where you can look at.
Brilliant. Thank you. And also just to remind to everyone, Canterbury is only 55 minutes from London, so within 1 hour. So if you obviously decide to secure or to apply for jobs in London, you can still live in Canterbury and then perhaps commute, depending how obviously how many days you need to be and work, or the other way around. You can obviously stay in London if you have maybe friends or relatives. Sometimes students do have some family members as well in London, and then commute for classes. Just making sure you allow sufficient time. Obviously, trains, also you need to incorporate the cost into your living expenses as well, and making sure your focus is still your studies. But we did have students who actually graduated from Canterbury Christ Church University and stayed in Canterbury, secured their job in Canterbury as well, and they're happy. They don't even want to move to big cities like London. So yeah, that's good.
I mean, personally, my personal experience as an international student, I would say if you want to like benefit from all the support that's around, it's hard to do it when you are a commuter student, because you find that you have to go back, and then you're going to secure the job where you're leaving, as opposed to, so I can't. In Canterbury, there are lots and lots of like amazing accommodation nowadays. We've got our university accommodation, but we also have sort of private accommodations that are now literally around Canterbury. So I would flip it the way that you said. If you have got friends and family, go and see them at the weekend. But for a better experience at university, and really to take advantage of all the opportunities around university life, it's best to kind of live in Canterbury, and it's a lot cheaper. If you can. I appreciate that things are different, but you might not be able to take advantage of some of the things that are on offer at the university when you're competing, because it takes quite a long time, to kind of, like you say, having all your lessons, but then the travel in and the travel back. Do think about it. There are different options to explore. Yeah,
absolutely. And accommodation, like you mentioned correctly, accommodation is much more affordable in Canterbury. So we're talking about
100%.
£600 per month, as opposed to around £1,500 to £2,000 in London. So yes, definitely.
And I think one of the benefits of our uni is that is in the centre of Canterbury. So you hardly need a car. You close to, I mean, right opposite the library, there's the bus station. So you can go to London for a fraction of the price on the bus, rather than kind of using the train, which costs a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Okay, just a few questions here which are not necessarily related, but about the deadlines. So the deadlines are yet to be finalized. However, for certain programs like nursing, for example, we encourage applications to be submitted via UCAS by 30th of June, the latest, ideally, just to make sure that you still have a chance to get into CCCU, obviously September 2025 intake, because nursing programs are quite competitive. So the sooner you submit applications, the better. For other programs, you can still submit applications, but again, like I said, the admissions and compliance team are becoming increasingly busy over the summer. So the sooner you submit your applications, the better. All outstanding documents, I would say, if you already have them, do submit them before first week of July. If you don't, then mid-July, ideally, just so that we can process your cases for unconditional offer letters at the soonest. And then to aim to have your CAS issued by the end of July, so you have sufficient time to apply for your visa. So the sooner, the better, if you already have your documents ready. So please don't delay that. How many years study gap? The university does exercise flexibility. So I'd say around 5 years for undergraduate and up to 10 years for postgraduate. However, it's considered on case-by-case basis. If you have slightly longer study gap, or with whichever length it is, you need to ensure you justify it within your CV. So it needs to be up to date, whether you were preparing for your IELTS or you were working or anything else. And you also need to justify it within your personal statement as well. So that's for both undergraduate, postgraduate, and then the university can look into it on a case-by-case basis. Like I said, they do accept mature applicants as well, but reference letters would also strengthen your case too. Diploma without IELTS condition, that depends where you're applying from. So I suggest you connect with our in-uni representatives on the ground in case if you can't find a certain entry criteria on CCCU website and they can help you. How can I register as an agent? So you need to log into your Gas Gateway if you do have access to Gas Gateway portal, or our team can share a link for B2B inquiries where you can provide your agency details, and you can then submit the references, etc., and the information about your educational agency, and we will take it from there. Students pay initial deposit. Yes, so initial deposit is £5,000 once you received your unconditional offer letter. So the sooner you pay the deposit, the better, simply because it does take time to obviously allocate your payment. So we want to make sure your payment is allocated promptly. So by the time you pass your precast interview, it's already allocated so that you can then process with your CAS request at the soonest. So please arrange your deposit at the earliest. Once your unconditional offer letter is issued, I would say, I would hope that you are prepared for your precast interview. So don't wait even to pass your precast interview. Perhaps it's better that the deposit is arranged as soon as possible, because we're already at the end of June. So I just don't want your CAS to be delayed because of the payment allocation. Okay. Does the university provide help with writing UK standard CV or cover letter?
Well, yes, once you become a student, absolutely, we can help you, and we've got leaflets and things that we can give you. But one thing that I'm going to say, because I'm quite firm about it, we won't write it for you.
Yes.
You have to write it. We'll help you, but we're not here to write you a CV and a cover letter, because I'm not going to say you're going to do that, but we've had lots of these cases where they expect us to write it. We won't write it for you, because what's the point? But we will certainly give you all the tools to be able to write it. And I think there was another question about what skills do I need from my country to secure a job with Unitemps. The skills that I told you, that I shared in that slide, any experience, it's not necessarily to convince us. I think I would say, jobs within the university, we're a little bit more understanding, and we will look at any experience that you have from home. So I would say, have you got any part-time experience? If you're applying for a hospitality job and you want to work in a cafe, and you've been working in a cafe in your own country, that's good enough experience that tells us that you know how to make a coffee, or you've got customer service skills. So that would be pretty straightforward. Obviously, when you're applying with other jobs that we may advertise in other companies, then again, same thing. You will need to see what the job entails and any experience that will give them reassurance that you can do the job. So
amazing. Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. Thank you for raising the tally. Is there any installment plan for enrollment? Yes. So the first payment to secure your CAS is £5,000 minimum, and then you can either pay the remaining tuition fees prior to CAS or prior to enrollment. That would be ideal, so that you don't have to worry about finances, or you're normally allowed to pay 50% of outstanding fees. So if the fee is £14,000, that means you've paid 5,000 deposits, then the remaining 9,000 you split into two. So £4,500 would be the next payment prior to enrollment and before, ideally once you've secured your visa before you travel to the UK, and remaining 4,500 would be upon the first term completion and before your next semester. The only program that requires a full fee prior to CAS is the International Foundation, which is a standalone. But for the integrated foundation, for bachelor's, direct entry, or master's degree, 5,000 deposit is the minimum, and then it's 50-50 split. So that you can have the installment plan. Okay, MOI, the university is still looking into that, but given that potential UKVI changes might come into play, we need to be very, very careful. It needs to be highlighted once again, and we've been highlighting as we've been traveling recently as well in South Asia, that the quality is the key right now. The universities would be exercising, and being very, very cautious when assessing applications applications, whether it's personal statements, which need to be very unique. As Chiara mentioned as well, AI shouldn't really be used because that can be spotted and that can lead to rejection of cases. So it's really, really important that students do write personal statements themselves and not using AI or using an agency to write a personal statement for them, because it will be spotted during your interview as well. So one way or another, it may lead to rejection. And obviously we don't want your journey, your admission journey, to be interrupted that way. So please ensure you are well prepared for both interviews and you write your own personal statement. Okay, on this note, the last comment we have, thank you, Chiara. I learned a lot about improving my CV and cover letter. I'm definitely inspired. And one day I hope to become a CCCU student ambassador. That's really encouraging. Thank you so much. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for extra time you gave us, Chiara. Really useful webinar as always. Have a great day all, and we'll see you the next webinar next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.